Okay guys, this is going to be a long video. We're going to be very detailed. We're going to go through this step by step and take you through the entire hike. You're going to see firsthand what this is all about. You're going to work your way over to Barham Boulevard, which is right off the 101 freeway. It's actually Olive Avenue in Burbank, so if you just keep following that, you'll run right into Barham, and you're going to make a turn onto Lake Hollywood Drive. And then from there, we're going to work our way up, and we're going to park over here on this street, and your landmark are going to be these two big circular looking things here, and that's going to be a good place to park for you. Okay, so we're going to make a left turn here on Lake Hollywood Drive. Now keep in mind this is a residential area, so please be respectful. Don't speed through here. Try to be quiet. Don't leave any trash. They don't really care for people coming through their neighborhoods here to see the Hollywood sign. But it is public, it's open, so just be respectful. You shouldn't have any issues. So we made that first left on La Subida Drive, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Roads are a little bit narrow, a lot of cars parked on the side of the road. And you're going to just, you're going to be nice and courteous. You're going to follow all the rules here. We're going to keep heading up the mountain. And as you can see, hard to get a couple of cars passing here when you've got parked cars on the side of the street, so just take your time. Now you can keep driving through here and you can actually get some pretty good views of the sign by car, but of course if you really want to get up close and personal, that's where this hike comes in, and we're going to document this thing beginning to end. Only takes a few minutes to get through the initial part to where the parking area is. Going to have a couple of stop signs to go through. All right, we are almost there. So we're going to be on Lake Hollywood Drive, and right up here is where you know you're getting close. You're going to notice it says Wonder View Drive, and that's where we're going to actually be on foot. But go ahead and make this right-hand turn on Lake Hollywood Drive, and this is going to be all public parking. Now you might want to get here early. This right here is about 9:45 a.m., and there's already quite a few cars out here, but it's a pretty long street. There's obviously plenty of parking, but just get there early just to be safe. And of course, the further down you park, you're going to have to walk this hill, so the earlier the better. I'm going to go ahead and go down to the bottom here and just turn around and come back up and park on the other side of the street. Now notice the signs do say no stopping. That's 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. So you're fine as long as you're during the daytime hours. I went down to the bottom of the hill and turned the car around, and you can see there's actually quite a few cars at the bottom end. But for this hike, we are actually going to be at the top of the hill, so we're going to try to park as close to the top as we can. We have a lot of walking ahead of us, so we don't need to park at the bottom and have to walk this as well. Okay, I am parked on Lake Hollywood. We're going to time this. We're going to see how much elevation we climb. We're going to get started here. Okay, so as you can see, there's plenty of cars out here, plenty of places to park. This is going to start out paved, residential. Be respectful while you're here and just follow this all the way up. All right, so when you get to Wonder View, you're going to take a right, and you're going to see a lot of signs here. Be very respectful when you're here. People who live out here really don't like people walking through here. They're going to try to deter you. There's going to be signs that there's no access, but just stay with me, and we're going to get up there together. No telling who lives up here, but that is a sweet looking ride. So we started right down there. We've walked up the curve here. A little bit steep, but ultimately, this is where we're headed. Always look for that radio tower, and you can see the H and the O in Hollywood starting to appear. Okay, so it's been about 4 or 5 minutes. I'm still walking. It's luckily paved through here. Like I said, this is residential. Lots of homes. And I'm already out of breath. And I know it's going to get harder, but this route is about 1.5 miles each way. There's another way you can go, which is less strenuous and a better path overall, but it's about 3 miles each way. So I'm choosing the shorter route, but I think it's going to be a little bit more strenuous. And just check out the views when you're up here. Look at that. There's downtown Los Angeles. Okay, when you get to the top up here, you're going to see a gate. But luckily, you can just walk right on through it. The views are absolutely amazing. So notice it does say park closed sunset till sunrise, so you don't want to get caught up here after sunset. The views are just amazing. And if you see right through there, there's that radio tower we're looking for, that big antenna. That's where the sign is. Got a long ways to go here. Once you go through the gate, the path is no longer paved. It's going to become dirt and gravel. And I believe it's going to get a lot worse than this. And there's already several people up here with the same idea. And what you're going to look for is this big electrical power line structure right here. And you can go left or you can go right. We need to go right. And this is where we're going to be going all the way up on that trail right there. So from the point of parking the car to walking to this spot right here, it's been 11 minutes. And I've stopped a couple times and took pictures, but go ahead and figure about 10 minutes to get to this point. You're gonna see that right there, and you're gonna go to the right. But before I do that, look at this amazing view. Look at that. So this would be Universal Studios. You can actually see the Harry Potter stuff. Okay, so that's the direction we're headed. Just noticing these people going up, and it looks really, really steep. I mean, really steep. Okay, so here's where the trail starts getting really steep, strenuous, and tricky. You're gonna come here to this plaque, and then we're gonna head on up. And you can tell there's been some modifications here. There's some wood here, and it's been slightly modified, but you're gonna have to really, really be careful and just watch each step. One wrong move and you'll be twisting an ankle or busting your knee open. We got a long ways to go. So from the ground it looks extremely steep, but it's not actually as bad as it looks once you start going here. And you can just keep stopping along the way and getting those amazing views. Okay, so we're about 15 minutes in, really about 20 minutes, but stopped a couple times, took pictures and rested for a couple of minutes. At this point, we've climbed elevation about 250 feet from where we parked the car, and it's steadily going up. At spots like these that are really tricky, you've really got to use your hands and climb over these rocks. Up we continue, and the view just keeps getting better and better. A lot of people travel this trail. It's very well known. See stuff like that out here, pretty cool. Try not to disturb that. And you got some pretty steep drop-offs. You definitely don't want to fall over this edge. And look out there, there's Universal Studios. All right, this looks pretty steep and treacherous, but looks can be deceiving. It can definitely be done. I am definitely not in good shape. I don't exercise, and I'm getting by okay. Just a little out of breath. We're gonna get to the top here in just a moment, where it starts to level off. And there's our point of reference. There's that big antenna on Mount Lee. That's where the sign is. Okay, so about 25 minutes in, that's with stopping a few times and just resting for a moment, drinking some water. The trail has definitely leveled off. We're getting closer, and this part right here is a breeze. This is pretty flat, pretty smooth. This is definitely an easier part of the trail, and that's where we're heading over there. You gotta be really careful for these drop-offs right here. It gets a little narrow in places, but easily done. Just take your time. If you look closely, you can see Griffith Observatory right there. There's also a cross up there on the left. Okay, so it leveled off for a little bit there, which was a nice break, but we're starting to go uphill again, and it looks like it's going to be uphill for a while, all the way up into there. All right, we're getting closer. There's Griffith Observatory, downtown LA. It's beautiful. Okay, once you get up to this next steep part, you actually have to backtrack to the left, and then it's going to go up that way. All right, so this is one of the steeper parts, and I'm about 40 minutes in, and we're going pretty slow. We're just taking our time. Some could do it faster, but about 41 minutes at this point. And the views just keep getting better and better. But I think once we get up this last steep incline here, that it'll level off and we'll basically be on top of the mountain. Okay, getting close to the top here. We got this sign says, okay, so we're gonna go that way to the Hollywood sign, but if you go left, there's the wisdom tree. We're gonna run up there real quick. So when you get up here close to the wisdom tree, if you look out over your right, that's Burbank, and there's actually Warner Brothers Studios. Disney's out there. You can see the actual Warner Brothers tower, water tower. You can see the Burbank Airport. And there's the wisdom tree right up there, which is luckily a very short walk from here. And then after we do that, we're gonna head on over there.
I'm gonna take my picture. I don't want to bother
you. And out there is Universal Studios. Look at all that. How amazing is that? Now, if you look closely, you can start to see the Hollywood sign, the back of it. So up here at the wisdom tree, it's been 1 hour since we parked the car, taken a few breaks, but 1 hour. 1 hour walk from the car to the top where the wisdom tree is, and then ultimately that's our destination right there. Okay, so walking back down now from the wisdom tree, we've actually got some action over here at the Hollywood sign. There's a helicopter. Doesn't look like a police helicopter, but it's been kind of going in circles and hovering around the top of Mount Lee, just behind that big antenna tower. Not sure what's going on over there, but that's where we're headed. I'm gonna walk up this trail right here. It's a little bit steep right there, and then hopefully it kind of levels off, but looking at it now from this perspective, I believe we still got some more uphill hiking to do. But it was good to get up here to the top, be able to rest for a few minutes and kind of catch our breath. And we're gonna go ahead and proceed. And it just blows my mind to be out here in this area and just be able to look right over and see Warner Brothers Studios. Think of all the TV shows, the movies, the amazing history down there in those sound stages. And then to just come across over here and see what looks like a postcard or a scene from a movie, to see downtown Los Angeles with the Pacific Ocean off in the distance, and Griffith Observatory right there, the first few letters of the Hollywood sign. It's amazing. Okay, let's get back on this and go ahead and finish up the hike. Okay, so the trail's finally starting to level out again. Gives your legs a nice break. I was worried about it being really narrow at the top here because we're essentially on the peak of the mountain, but there's actually plenty of room up here. plenty of room to spread out. No issues at all. Now, that over there looks a little worrisome. That incline going up looks a bit steep. And ultimately, there's where we're going. So the question is, how do we get over that and to over there? I think we're going to find out in just a few minutes. Perspective is everything out here. From a few minutes back, this looked extremely steep, but the closer I get, it doesn't look as bad. So don't let what you see off in the distance fool you. It may not be as bad as you think it is. Now that I'm starting to go up, I can tell it's not going to be that bad. Just have to watch your footing here. Not bad at all. Definitely better than it looked. Now down there is Forest Lawn Memorial Hollywood Hills. A lot of well-known celebrities are buried down there. I'm going to be making another video on that, so make sure you watch that as well. Okay, right here towards the end, it's getting to me. It's getting a bit strenuous. Very rocky, a little steep, but I'm doing it. If I can do it, anybody can. Looks like it's finally starting to level off. And right over there, you see the tower there. Oh, we are getting close. Look at that right there. There's the top of Mount Lee. And there's our landmark. There is the radio tower, antenna, whatever you want to call it. Now, when we parked the car down at the base, we were at 935 feet above sea level. And right now we're at about 1,800 feet. So we've pretty much doubled our elevation. We climbed about 900 feet up here, and we're about 1 hour and 30 minutes in. Now, you could do this much quicker if you didn't stop much, but we've been stopping along the way, taking short little breaks. We spent some time at the Wisdom Tree, and you can do it quicker, but just take your time. It's going to make the trip that much more enjoyable. Now we're actually going to have to descent. We're going to be going downhill, so this is maybe not as strenuous, but definitely a bit more dangerous. All right, there's another shot of Forest Lawn Memorial Hollywood Hills. A lot of celebrities down there. We're going to go down there later and film some stuff. So the good thing about this part of the trail as we get closer and closer is it is downhill, which doesn't necessarily make it easier, but we're starting to be surrounded by a lot of brush. Now, being the time of day is around, well, it's approaching noon, 11 a.m. noon or so. The sun is pretty high up, so you can't really find shade very well, but there's a few little hints of shade back here. And this is being filmed in November 2021. So the temperature today is about 80 for the high. I could definitely use a little bit lower temperatures today, but 80 is not terrible, and we're getting it. Now this right here looks a little tricky right here. Definitely have to watch every step you take. There's a lot of rocks, a lot of jagged rocks. It would not take much to misstep and go tumbling. Okay, so this right here looks like a complete drop-off. I'm definitely gonna have to put the phone up, put the camera up while I navigate this. You can see the trail continues, but this looks really steep. Okay, I made it down safely. That was really steep, but luckily there's some things to kind of grab onto on the way down. And you can look off in the distance there. There's the wisdom tree. We are making some good distance here. Hopefully the worst is behind us. And the top of Mount Lee is right over there in the distance. Like, we're getting really close now. And the cool thing is it's nice and level, nice and sandy and soft. No jagged rocks for the moment, but I tell you what, you got some major drop-offs right here. If you fell down there, I don't know that you would survive it. And there's the cemetery. And if you look off way in the distance, that line of cars out there, that's where we parked. Okay, so the path gets a little narrow through here, but nothing that's a problem, but it's like straight down right there. You've really got to be aware of your surroundings, be aware of every step. Okay, a little steep right here, but we're getting there. Looks like we got to go uphill yet once again. Every time I think it's finally leveling off, it tricks us. And the bad thing is everything we're doing, we have to do in reverse when we come back. So if you think this trail might be a bit too strenuous, there is, from what appears to be a much easier trail, paved, smooth, not quite as treacherous as this, but it is twice the distance. This is about 1.5 miles each direction, but the other trail is about 3 miles each direction. So I think I'd rather do it this way and just have a less distance to travel. Looks like we might be in the shade here momentarily. Oh yeah, finally out of the sun. Now it's pretty narrow through here, and this is really steep. Wow. Okay, somehow I made it up. That was really steep, really steep. Going down, I don't know. It's going to be tough. So we've climbed all that, over that, and there's the wisdom tree. Okay, I was just told by some guys passing by that this is the last steep incline to go up, and then it's all downhill from there. Until we turn around, of course. And of course, that's where we're trying to get right there. We're almost there. All right, let's do this. Got through that last steep section, and then we got this downhill section to go. And then I think there might be one more drop off, and then we will be on paved ground and be behind the Hollywood sign. Almost there. Okay, so we just came over the hill, and look what I see. How cool is that? That's why we're here, guys. Amazing. time we've been up here, this helicopter has been flying back and forth. I have no idea what they're doing. But as you can see, we finally got pavement, and the sign is just beyond that turn right there. Feels good to be on some paved asphalt right now. Got a little bit of a steep incline here, but definitely an improvement over what we've been on. And just look at that view out there. And right behind me here, look at that. Starting to see the Hollywood sign. Right here. So this was my landmark the entire hike to let me know which direction I'm headed in. You can see they got cameras everywhere. You've got barbed wire here. You hop this fence, you get near that sign, you're gonna have helicopters on you. And speaking of helicopters, this one has been here for quite a while today. That helicopter says Coast Guard on it, now that I can get a closer look. So once you get up here, there's one last little section. You can climb to the top and basically get as high as you can go. This is the top of the top. A view like you will see nowhere else. And there it is. So we are at the top. I'm gonna enjoy the peacefulness up here. Total time about 2 hours and 20 minutes from the parking spot down below to the very top. Now you could easily do this quicker. We took a lot of breaks on the way up. Spent some time at the wisdom tree. But I would figure a couple of hours each direction. We'll see how long it takes to get down. It was about 4,000 steps according to the pedometer app on my phone. About 1.5 miles. Well worth it. Bucket list item complete. As always, thanks for watching. Check out my other videos from the Hollywood and Los Angeles area. So we are finally back at the bottom, back to the gate. Now it took about 2 hours and 20 minutes to get to the top with several stops along the way, several breaks. And we're about an hour and 10 minutes getting back down. So much quicker coming down. Of course, I wasn't filming, wasn't stopping as much, and it was mostly downhill. And here we are at the gate. Now, I think this is a new gate. I've seen videos from the past where people were actually able to kind of walk around the edge of it, but that's not gonna happen so much here. I mean, you're gonna have to trek down that. That's not going to be easy. And this gate gets locked at sunset. So if you're coming up here, you better be up and down during daylight hours, or you're going to be locked in. There you go. Sunset till sunrise. Luckily, we did not see any rattlesnakes. Just came down through the gate and noticed you got this little place right here as you go up. There's water in here for your dogs, for your pets. There's a book here that you can sign. And it says right there, if bowls are empty or dirty, please feel free to refresh. Faucet at left. Someone is sitting in the shade today because years ago someone planted a tree. Very cool. So keep that in mind if you're coming up here with an animal that you can maybe box some water on the way up.